now properly tuned. Although it looks like I lost my one viewer, my viewer. Free armor potion. Wait, seriously? I'm pretty sure this potion has been in the game since season 2. That's the case. They've been holding out on actually making it available to this book release. Well, literally, that coding is everything that's really new this week. Don't have anything of note into next week, apparently. Unless you count the mixtape weapon arm, which I don't. Alright, well, I will want to point out that part of the reason why I'm late, and maybe potentially why I having network difficulties, was because I was actually looking at a YouTube video showcasing some of the new helmets and helmet attachments. But nothing really noteworthy. Anyways, time for the Destiny side of things. On the same note of nothing particularly interesting, however, as far as Halo, next week's Operation Pass is pretty much the same thing. So I'm not even sure if I'll be covering anything next week. Depends on what happens. However, a side note, there is a new game release of a game that I'm curious not everybody has access to it, but I want to point out that I own the original Xbox versions of them, the PC versions of them, and the PlayStation Portable versions of them, as well as the PlayStation Portable exclusives of Renegade and Elite Squadron. But, for all intents and purposes, it's just these two games re-released with the only noteworthy change as pay money for their new servers. And that's basically all it is access to the servers. Brand new servers. Although, it is impressive that the new servers are doing 64 players instead of the old 16 players that the original game had. But outside of that, nothing really worth anything, especially with the odd price tag as it's going to have, according to a news article. Apparently, they're charging $35.01 for this classic collection, and that is a surprisingly odd price value for one. The stream preview seems stuck. There we go. Honestly, one of the best things about Elite Squadron was the fact that you could create custom characters for each classes, and you were able to transition almost seamlessly between space, air, and ground combat. Something that they sort of capitalized in with the dice remakes, but not so well. And it would be really nice if they at least made the effort to graphically update the classic titles at the very least. But apparently they're just releasing it with just no updates other than the server access, apparently. Which honestly seems like a Disney money grab to me. However, it does bring up the whole argument of a Battlefront 3. And what I would love to see from a Battlefront 3 is essentially a updated version of the originals with the Rogue Squadron and Elite Squadron elements. As well as, of course, the 4K graphics, which was the best thing of the DICE remakes. Classic game modes, as well as the ability to revisit the previous Battlefront title on Central Hub, kind of like the Master Chief Collection. Now, a previous review video about revisiting them talked about the menus and stuff. And we're pointing out how the Mass Effect 2, or not Mass Effect 2, the Battlefront 2 menu was apparently much, I guess, more impressive. And a step up and whatnot, but although the centralized menu setup was pretty iconic for the series and a step up, the background and surrounding was just random clips of the movie trilogy or quadrilogy, six triplets or six twins, so sex trilogy? It's a trilogy? Something along those lines? The six movies. And, honestly, if they had the background hologram type imagery of, Battlefield 1, Battlefront 1, and the menu UI, as far as the menu placements style of 2, that would probably be more ideal. Just movie imagery and whatnot was sad.
You don't look too banged up.
Or at least for the second one.
Deal. Keep it loaded.
Whole worlds of knowledge were lost in the fires of the assault.
And I'm not gonna really sugarcoat it. I am kind of, in modern standards, considered old, even though I'm in my 30s. So I grew up with the Battlefront 2 and the original Halo. So I have higher standards than most newer, younger gamers would. Because I've seen the best of gameplay of that era and see modern gameplay, and really I can't help but seeing gameplay degrading, or gameplay elements and quality degrading, while graphics and sound improves. Not to mention the simple fact that as the graphics improve, the price tags of individual games increase, but yet you're only paying for better graphics, but not better gameplay. It's kind of depressing.
Hello again.
Now, there will probably be people that will say that I'm just being negative or cynical, but I'm just being real. With my disorders, I'm good at analyzing patterns, so I've always been good at picking up on the various patterns, especially in history books and maps and VI/AI behaviors.
The Black Armory awaits your return.
So I've always found it really easy to predict what bots will do behavior-wise in many of the earlier games. Bot technology has gotten more able to mimic to a lesser extent what humans do, and I can't really analyze or pick up patterns in people. So. Bot behaviors increase and become less boring and predictable. Graphics increase, price tags increase, sound increase, but I don't see anything beyond that in the way things progress, especially the way everything has to be about microtransactions and DLC with the newer generations. It's just makes gameplay highly restrictive, among other things. And they focus so much on, or at least seem to focus so much on pretty coats, awesome sound effects, big explosion effects, and microtransactions in the DLC as well, that they don't really seem to spend enough time chasing bugs, bug testing, patching things, and generally just improving the games. Part of that is the aged engines, of course. The most modern and up-to-date and reliable engine currently in existence is really the Unreal Engine. Outside of that, almost every game has been using, or game franchise has been reusing the same old engines for years. You've got the Tiger engine, which is derivative of the Blam engine, which was the engine they used for the original Halo. You've got the Frostbite engine. You've got the Creation engine, which is basically the same exact engine with a new coat of paint and a few bells and whistles as the engine that ran Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind on the Xbox. That's right. Essentially, every engine is just a reworked and overhauled version of a pre-existing engine, with the exception of Creation engine this day and age. Or not Creation, the Unreal engine. The Unreal engine constantly is getting drastically overhauled and improvements, and I don't know. There's something about it that really makes it stand out among all these other engines that have been increasingly showing their age and limiting what developers can do properly. And then the amount of time that they actually have between development and release has been decreasing, and being more about pumping out the game faster so that the companies and higher peoples, higher ups, whatever you want to call them, can get more money. As well as the strategies of fine-tuning DLC and whatnot so they can get more money. Not to mention some of the, for lack of a better phrase, drastically piss poor decision-making capabilities of many of these individuals. And that are in, of course, higher positions. And so they have the authority, while others don't. And yet, they tend not gonna say everybody in that position, mind you, but there is a growing trend among those in those positions that just do not take responsibility for their decisions that ruin or hamper games. Instead, they blame it on their underlings, and the underlings end up getting fired for doing exactly what they're supposed to, following the higher-ups' orders and doing what they're told to do, while also trying to do their best to make it into something that the consumers, video players, whatever you want to call it, would enjoy. But again, I could just simply be biased when it comes to this, but considering I'm focusing on patterns that I've observed since as long as I've been alive, as well as reviewing history and related patterns, I seriously doubt that's the case here. Anyways, so that is basically everything that's new and different this week, except for that notification I got in the beginning, which I'm not really sure what changed. I haven't been able to keep track of the TWABs and patch notes as there's a lot of different things I've been trying to keep track of, and with Twitter being basically broken by Elon Musk, it's useless for being able to track that stuff like I used to, and as a result, I've been out of the loop. As I don't have a general one source locate, one stop source for the news that matters to me, which is news on the various shows, anime, manga, movies, and video games that I follow, and just the news regarding them. Actual news, not like tabloids or rumors or anything like that. The official news. That's basically what I had previously used Twitter for. But if anybody has an alternative that actually is still viable for that, I am more than willing to look into it. Right now, I'm investigating the possibility of setting up Discord like that, but hasn't been working so well. Right, Destiny burns. Yeah. That's everything in Destiny. Although, some of the news that I have been able to keep a track of regarding Destiny indicates that they're gonna be doing a major PvP overhaul within the coming weeks, but I'll believe it when I see it. Especially when they keep on rotating stuff out. And the only PvP that I would be interested in is Gambit and Sparrow Racing, and possibly, if it's done well enough, ship-to-ship combat. I'm not talking about like just that Season of the Plunder ship-to-ship combat. I'm talking about taking the jump ships that you fly, being able to like fight things in them, both in PvE and PvP format. But Bungie's basically already said that they're not doing that, which is a shame. But again, that's pretty much the only PvP I play anymore, is basically PvP versus PvE environments and ship and racing scenarios. I don't really do standard sandbox PvP anymore. It's gotten too unbalanced, unrefined, and generally repetitive. Especially considering the fact that I am, for lack of alternatives, am a solo player, and matchmaking tends to favor players that aren't solo players, and I've always had bad luck when it comes to matchmaking. Usually, I find myself stuck with teammates that are more of the brawn and bravery over brains that charge in guns a-blazing. The type that would, oh hey, I see a tank. I'm gonna take my machine gun and yell at it as I'm pulling the trigger down, spraying bullets that are bouncing off the armor, and charge at it, because that's apparently a good idea. Meanwhile, it almost feels like I end up playing against teams that are mixed of pros and people with intelligence on the other end. So, after dealing with that type of bad luck when it comes to matchmaking since Halo 3 era, I've pretty much given up on PvP matchmaking ever being fun. Which is probably another reason why I'm not really interested in the classic Battlefront remakes. Because it's basically a problem with the universal matchmaking algorithms that every company has utilized since, I believe, the Halo 3 era, honestly. It could have been before or after that, but the problem is consistent on every type of game like that. But enough of my ranting. And I've covered everything this week. So, until next time, everybody,